Hey Monarch, today we are looking at how to cut in a door. So this one particular one right here, we actually threw the old doors away. So now we have to measure the frame and see what happens here on the actual door. So we're looking at a frame right here. This is an actual 30-inch door. And what we're going to do is we have a door stop right here that is about almost 1/4 of an inch. So what we need to do is when we're measuring the hinges to put into the door, to scribe into the door, we're going to bring this down 1/4 of an inch. So we're looking at 7 3/4. So we go to the top, we're looking at 8 inches, bringing it down 1/4, making it 7 3/4. Okay, so today, cutting in this 30-inch door, obviously we need a tape measure. We're going to make sure that it is a 30-inch door. We got exactly a 30-inch door. We need a T-square or a builder square. Obviously we need to have a keyhole saw for the doorknob, drill with a hole saw, and also we need the router and a chisel and the trusty hammer. Okay, so basically now what we're going to do is there's on normal doors you have a bevel side and you have a square side. Square side is the side that we actually cut the hinges in, and then the bevel side is the one that we put that toward the door strike. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to cut in the hinges, and if you remember, I measured it at 7 3/4 is where I need the top of my hinge to be. So I'm going to take my square and I'm going to come over here and we're going to get it down to 7 3/4, and then we're going to scribe for our first hinge. And again, you have to remember this is your square side, your other side is your bevel side. Okay, so there's where my hinge is going to be, and then we're going to come back over here. This is for if you don't have a door to go by. If you don't have a template to go by, this is a way to do it in the field to dress it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're coming over here, we're going to take tape measure, and we're going to go to the top of that hinge and then to the bottom of that hinge where we're exactly 5 foot, 60 inches. From the top of that hinge to the top of this hinge, 5 foot, 60 inches. So we're going to come over here, because we already know that we measured from the top of this hinge. We're going to set the tape up here, and we're going to go right to the actual line, come down to 5 foot. We'll hold on to our tape, and we'll scribe for the next hinge. Now I'm always saying measure twice, cut once. So we want to make sure that once we get everything lined up, it is right where we need to be, exactly 60 inches. Okay, so now we got our places for our hinges. So we're set with the hinges. So now we're looking at our actual door knob installation. So we already got our cutout for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure here, and it looks like we have 45 1/4. But remember, we have to drop down 1/4 of an inch to make our clearance for the door strike, the door stop. So what we'll do is we're going to make this, bring it down 1/4 of an inch. We're looking at 45 inches. 45 inches. Everything is to the top of the door. So you're not trying to come down here 1/4 of an inch and hold on to it. Everything is measured so that you can take the tape measure to the top of the door to measure. So we come over here, we got 45, we scribe it. We take our square, put our square out, make our 45-degree angle. Now we're getting ready to cut the doorknob in. Slide that up. If you see here, we have arrows. We have an arrow right here. Our center point is right here. So we're going to line that up, and then we're going to tighten this down. Okay, once that's tightened down, make sure that we're centered. We're ready to bore a hole. Now on this, when you're boring a hole, this is a hollow core door. So it's a hollow core door. So basically we're just going to go through the first layer. Once we get that first layer done, we'll go down and stop the drill till you feel the drill bit. Yep, it's all the way through, so you don't want to go any farther with that. That part of it's done. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take a 1-inch paddle bit. I think I just it here. Take a 1-inch paddle bit, and we're going to keep center of the line. And also these adjustments on here, the doorknob that we're working with is 2 3/8 and 1 3/8. Okay, so we're going to keep this straight. All right, so we got this hole through here, 1-inch hole for this right here. So now what we have to do is, remember how I went through this right here, but I didn't go all the way through to the other side. The reason is because I don't want to chip the laminate on this door. So basically, I am going to remove this because I already have my pilot hole on the bottom of it. That's why I just let the auger go through so that I can see where to put it on the other side. There's my pilot hole right here from the other side. So line up my pilot hole on there. Perfect. Straight through. Okay, so now we're going to get ready to start cutting in the hinges. Okay, so now that I have my holes and I have my hinges marked out, what I have to do is I have to figure out which way the hinges are going to go. So I hold the door up in place, look at and I want to see where my hinges are. Right here we look pretty good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab hinges, and always want the cap size to the pin to be in the up position. Just like this right here, the door is going to close in this way. So our hinge is going to be cut in this way right here. Okay? Okay, so now we're getting ready to cut in the hinge. And you guys, you have to remember, we're just doing this in the field. We threw the old doors away. We're basically just trying to make something happen here. So this is the reason why it seems a little bit more complicated. Other than that, if you have a template, you just put it on top of the door, draw everything out. To caution with that is still, you have a little bit of tweaking this to do. So here, what we want to do is I'm going to take my pencil and I want to put that right in front of that hinge. That gives me my space that I need right here. Line that hinge up. We already have our top mark because we took our measurement of 7 3/4, if anybody was paying attention, to the top. We're going to scribe our line. Okay, that first one right there is ready for the hinge. We're going to come down here. We have our top line. We're going to use our pencil, which gives us a good guide to how far back to set the hinge. Line it up, scribe it out. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the router. We're going to get just as close as we possibly can. We'll finish it off with the chisels. Our router to put in our hinges here. We need to figure out what the depth is. So basically I'm going to take and measure this to where that router bit is flush with the actual hinge, and that's set really good. Lock it down, lock it into place. Make sure you always unplug the router before you do that. Okay, so I got my depth. I'm ready to cut it in. Okay, so now I have my pattern for my hinge to go in. Just like that. And then basically I'll just clean it up. So that hinge is ready to go. We'll get it screwed on. Okay, so what we're going to do, we got the hinges are all set, ready to go. So what we got to do now is we're going to router in our setback. So I'm going to put that in and get that straightened. And I'm going to hold down on it right here so I can trace right around it. And there you go. A lot of these quick sets, Sladge, all that stuff, they do come with templates and stuff like that on there. But this is a door that we have to make fit a frame. So a lot of times that's for a door that's already set for a jamb. So in this case, we have to modify it. So that's the reason why we're tracing everything out. In the field, this is exactly what you should do to be able to get this door to fit that frame. Okay, so I'm going to router this out. When I router this, what I want to do is I don't want to try to make this circle pattern right here. So I'm just going to make a series of straight lines up to this line here. And then I'll clean all this up with a chisel so that that setback will sit in there perfect. Okay, as you can see, so we got our hinges all cut in, and keep this in mind that this was all freehand. So you got to take your time with it, especially when it comes to the router part of it. The slower you go, the more accurate you will be. We got the knobs installed, so we're ready to go. The only thing we have left is to fit the door, make sure that the door fits. So let's go see. Okay, here again we have the jamb. We have the jamb, obviously, you know, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to modify this to fit this jamb. One screw started, and if the hinge is lined up, we should be good. In this case, it looks like it's good. Now it's just a matter of tightening it down. Okay, door shut. So
See if it shuts.
as you can see, we got the door fit. Shuts good. Hinges are all cut in. If you come over here, I'll show you the way that the pencil is. You see how it's lined right up with the hinge? That way that door is square with the jamb. So that's why when you're cutting in your hinges, you're not for sure where to get them on here. That's the reason why we cut them in right on the money. Peekaboo! Peekaboo! All right, we got it. That's door installation 101. Basically, just take your time with it and you should be good to go. Have a good day.